The night my mom told me to leave the house I had bought, I thought I heard her wrong. I had just come back from a long day at work in New York City. I dropped my bag by the door. My mom was already sitting in the living room, looking serious. "We need to talk," she said. She told me my older brother Tyler deserved a fresh start. She said he had been through a lot, and that family helps family. Then she looked me straight in the eye and said I should move back to my small city apartment so that Tyler could move into my house. I reminded her that I had paid the down payment. The house and the mortgage were in my name only. She didn't care. "You're hardly here, Madison," she said. "You have your big job and your own life. Your brother has nothing. Don't be selfish." That hurt the most. She called me selfish. Well, even though I had bought this house so my parents could live in it almost for free. Then I noticed she had already put some of my things by the door, like she had planned this days ago. She held out her hand for my keys and casually said they were planning a housewarming party soon to celebrate finally getting the home we always dreamed of. I didn't go to that party. I saw it on social media instead. There were pictures of my mom and Tyler smiling in my kitchen, grilling in my backyard. The caption said something like, "Our dream home after years of hard work." Someone asked in the comments if I had helped. My mom replied, "Not really. She was never around." That was when I decided that karma needed a little push. I grew up in a quiet town in New Jersey. I was the second child, and it always felt like my parents hadn't really planned for me. My older brother Tyler was the favorite from the very beginning. My mom, Karen, called him her miracle and her champion. My dad, Mark, just went along with whatever made her happy, and that usually meant doing whatever was best for Tyler. When I was little, Saturdays meant freezing on metal bleachers while my mom screamed for Tyler at football games. After the games, there were parties, cakes, gifts, and everyone telling Tyler how amazing he was. I was the kid picking up trash and empty cups. I might get a quick "good job, honey," if someone remembered I existed. When Tyler graduated, my parents bought him a used sports car they could barely afford. My mom cried happy tears. When I made the honor roll, my mom said, "That's great, Madison. Can you help me clean the garage? Your brother needs space for his equipment." Tyler was always the future. I was the backup plan. The only people who truly saw me were my grandparents on my dad's side, Evelyn and George. They lived a few blocks away. When my parents were busy driving Tyler to practices or meeting coaches, my grandparents invited me over. My grandpa sat with me at the kitchen table and showed me the financial pages in the newspaper. He explained saving, interest, and why people bought stocks. My grandma taught me chess and told me, "You have to think 3 moves ahead, especially when people underestimate you." At school, I joined the business club and math team. I helped with fundraiser spreadsheets while other kids took selfies. I started to see something important. Numbers don't play favorites. They didn't care that Tyler was the golden boy. They only cared if you did the work and paid attention. So while my mom kept saying Tyler would one day take care of all of us, I quietly planned a life where I didn't need saving. When I was in high school, Tyler went to college for marketing. My mom talked about it like he had been drafted into the NFL. Every phone call from him was a big event. When the call ended, she would sigh and say, "Your brother is really going places, Madison. He's going to change everything for this family." Meanwhile, I was taking hard classes, helping with money at school, and working part-time at a coffee shop. No one made posters or parties for that. After Tyler graduated, he bounced between a few sales jobs. Then one night, he said he wanted to open a bar near his old college. He called it a can't-miss opportunity. My mom's eyes lit up. "This is it," she told my dad. "This is his big break. We have to help him." Helping him meant draining most of their savings and taking a line of credit on the house. My dad looked worried, but he signed anyway because he never knew how to say no to my mom. The bar failed in less than a year. Tyler drank more than he worked. His partners left. The big break became more debt. My mom did not blame Tyler. She blamed the economy, the location, and his partners, never him. They stopped taking vacations. They delayed repairs. My mom worked extra hours at a local office. My dad did side jobs. I worked more at the coffee shop and tutored younger kids in math. I also did most of the housework. "Tyler is under so much stress," my mom said while handing me a list of chores. "Let him focus on getting back on his feet. You're good with numbers, you'll be fine." When I brought home a certificate from a regional math contest, she barely looked at it. She just asked if I could clean the garage again so Tyler could store things from the failed bar. The only ones proud of me were my grandparents. My grandpa checked my savings account and said, "You're doing what your parents should have done. You're building a safety net. Don't let anyone guilt you into giving it away." My grandma said, "You don't have to stay in a place that doesn't value you just because you were born there." Their words stayed in my mind when I applied to colleges. I filled out tons of scholarship forms and wrote essays late into the night. When I got into NYU in New York City with financial aid and a scholarship for finance students, my hands shook. I finally had a way out. My mom's first reaction was, "New York is so far. Who will help us? What about your brother?" For the first time, I didn't swallow my feelings. I said, "Maybe this time he can help you." And I accepted NYU's offer anyway. New York City felt like a different world. At NYU, nobody cared that my brother used to be a high school football star. They only cared whether you worked hard and could keep up. I took finance classes and got an internship at a firm in Manhattan. At first, I did boring tasks like fixing spreadsheets and organizing reports, but I never missed deadlines and always tried to understand the numbers. People noticed. In that office, I wasn't Tyler's little sister. I was just Madison. Back home, Tyler's life was falling apart again after the bar, and he moved back in with my parents and started a new idea, an e-commerce app. It was full of big words and empty promises. My mom believed every word. She cashed out more of their retirement money and took on more credit for him. Whenever I asked about their debts from the bar, my mom said, "Debt is normal. You have to spend money to make money." I could tell she didn't really understand. She just wanted to keep believing in Tyler. Then my grandparents died a few months apart, when it was heartbreaking. After the funeral, the lawyer read their will. They left a little to my dad and some keepsakes to my mom. To me, they left a savings and investment account with about $100,000. My grandfather had written a letter. It said, "Use this to build something that belongs to you, not to rescue people who refuse to save themselves." I cried in my dorm room that night. Even after death, they were still protecting me. I graduated from NYU with honors and got a full-time analyst job at the same firm. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. I used my salary and the inheritance wisely. I maxed out my 401k, opened an IRA, invested in index funds, and saved. Tyler's app failed too. He ran through his investor money and again turned to my parents. My mom kept saying, "It's just until the app takes off," like she was reading from a script. The stress showed on my dad's face. One night, my dad told me quietly, "Your mother believes in him so much, she's willing to bet the entire house on it." They had used almost everything they had. They were close to losing their home. I did the math in my head. I couldn't fix all their bad choices, but I also couldn't just watch them lose everything. I decided to help, but in a smart way. One rainy Sunday, I went to visit. My mom was at the table, surrounded by unopened letters. I picked one up. It was from the bank, a warning about missed payments and possible foreclosure. They were close to losing the house I grew up in. That night back in Brooklyn, I made a plan. Paying off their big mortgage would only delay the problem. I decided to buy a smaller, cheaper house in my own name and move them there. That way they would have a home, but no more crazy loans. I found a small one-story bungalow in a nice, quiet neighborhood. I met my parents at a diner and explained, "You're drowning. If you keep the old house, you'll lose it and everything else I've been saving. With my job and the money from Grandma and Grandpa, I can buy this smaller place. It will be my house in my name. You can live there. You'll pay only utilities and daily costs. But there will be no more loans for Tyler's ideas, no more cashing out retirement. This is the last rescue." My dad asked, "You'd do that?" His voice was shaky. My mom's eyes filled with tears. "You'd buy us a house?" she whispered. "Why?" I said yes and added, "But it stays in my name. I handle the mortgage and taxes. That is the rule." She grabbed my hand and said, "You're an angel, Madison. You're saving us." We closed on the bungalow a few months later. It was simple, but nice. A small porch, an open living room, a yard where my mom could finally plant flowers. It was the kind of place my grandparents would have chosen. On move-in day, I gave my parents keys and said, This is your fresh start. Don't waste it. Tyler showed up late, carrying one box and many opinions. Nice place, he said. Kinda small. If you upgrade the kitchen and add a deck, it'll have real value. Did you guys finally get a good deal? Before I could reply, my mom said, Your sister helped. It's a family effort. At first she told people, Madison found us a house. Then it changed too. We finally got the house we deserve. Soon it became, we bought this place after all our sacrifices. Tyler started saying things like, So where do I stay when I need a break from the city? I'll just use the spare room. You've got your own place, Mads. My mom said, It would be good for him to have a stable base. You're so busy in New York, you hardly use your old room. I reminded her, This house is in my name. I bought it so you and Dad can live comfortably, that's it. She smiled tightly and said, Of course. And of course. But I heard her whisper to Tyler, Don't worry, we'll figure something out. Later, my mom mentioned having a housewarming party to celebrate finally getting our dream home. She kept saying she would tell me the date, but never did. One night after work, I was scrolling on my phone when I saw Tyler's new post. He had tagged my mom and a lot of people from our hometown. There he was in my kitchen, leaning against my island, holding a beer. The caption said, So grateful to finally move my parents into our dream home after years of hard work and sacrifice. Picture after picture showed people in my backyard, my living room, my house. My mom and Tyler were holding a home sweet home sign like they had bought the place themselves. In the comments, people said things like, You're such a good son. Someone asked, Did your sister help too? Thought she was doing well in the city. A few minutes later, my mom replied from her account. Not really. She's never around, always busy with her own life. This was mostly on us and Tyler. I stared at that comment for a long time. It wasn't just a lie. She had erased me completely. Without thinking, I grabbed my keys and drove to the house. When I reached the street, I saw cars parked everywhere and lights in the backyard. I walked through the side gate. No one noticed me at first. Tyler was at the grill, talking loudly like a hero. My mom was telling neighbors, We're so proud we finally bought this place after everything we've been through. We sacrificed a lot, but it was worth it. This is the home we always dreamed of. Someone asked, Did your daughter help? She's in finance, right? My mom laughed and said, You know how it is. She has her Wall Street life. She never really helped. Tyler's the one who stepped up. I walked into the circle. That's funny, I said. Because I remember wiring 6 figures to pay for this house. Everyone turned to look at me. My mom's face went pale. Madison, she said sharply, What are you doing here? I'm visiting the house I bought, I said, and the party you didn't invite me to, where you tell people I never helped. Tyler came over. Come on, Mads, don't make it weird. We're just celebrating. I pulled an envelope from my bag and held up the papers inside. This is the closing statement from the bank, I said. Look whose name is on it. Mine, no one else's, no co-owner, no co-signer. I turned to the guests. I bought this house because my parents were about to lose their old one. They refinanced it over and over for Tyler's failed businesses. I put this place in my name so they would have a safe home. They just threw a party in my house, told you they bought it, and said I never helped. The yard went quiet. Some people looked shocked. Someone whispered, Oh my God. Tyler said, You're being dramatic. You can't just ruin the party. This is a family matter. You're right, I said. It is a family matter. That's why I'm done letting you and Mom rewrite my life. Then I raised my voice. Party's over. Everyone who is not on the mortgage needs to leave my property now. At first, no one moved. My mom snapped, You can't do that, Madison. You can't kick people out in the middle of a party. Watch me, I said. You were fine kicking me out of a house I paid for. Now it's my turn to set the rules. My dad put his hand on my mom's shoulder and said quietly, Karen, we need to let them go. People slowly gathered their things and left. In a few minutes, the yard was almost empty. The music was still playing. Plates of half-eaten food sat on the table. It no longer looked like a happy party. It looked like a mess after a storm. My mom hissed, You're going to regret this. You're turning your back on your family. No, I said calmly. I'm turning my back on being used. I turned off the music and started blowing out the candles. For the first time in my life, my mom and Tyler didn't look special. They just looked small, standing in a house they had tried to claim but didn't own. The next morning, I came back to the house with a folder of documents and a decision. Tyler was gone. My parents sat at the kitchen table in silence. I laid out the papers, the deed, the mortgage, the bank letters from their old house, and a simple list of their debts. Here's where we really are, I said. You are months behind on payments for the old house. The bank will take it soon. This house is in my name. I bought it with my money so you wouldn't be homeless. Last night you threw a party, lied to everyone, and said I never helped. My mom said I was embarrassed. We don't need everyone knowing our business. What was I supposed to say? That our daughter had to rescue us? You didn't have to erase me, I said. My dad asked quietly, what happens now? I'm doing what Grandpa told me to do, I said. I'm going to stop rescuing people who refuse to save themselves. I'm selling this house. My mom stared at me. You can't do that. We'll have nowhere to go. You can't throw your parents on the street. I'm not, I said. I'll give you 90 days to find an apartment you can afford. I'll pay your first month's rent and the security deposit, but after that, you are responsible. I am done being your safety net while you pretend I don't exist. She called me heartless and ungrateful. I let her talk. For the first time, her words didn't control me. My dad had tears in his eyes. He said, we did this. We made these choices. She warned us. Tyler tried to come back a week later and yelled about family loyalty. By then, I had already met a real estate agent. The house was on the market. When he said, you can't take this from Mom and Dad, I answered. I can't take what they never owned. Their old house finally went into foreclosure. The bank took it. My parents moved into a small, noisy apartment in a rougher part of town. My mom hated it, but never admitted how her choices helped cause it. Tyler worked low-paying jobs and stopped acting like a big-shot entrepreneur. On social media, he no longer bragged about startups and big ideas. He posted about long shifts and being tired. I sold the bungalow, paid off the small mortgage, and invested the profit. I added to my retirement accounts, built my savings, and put money aside for a future home that would truly be mine. I also started therapy. Cutting off your own mother is painful, even when you know it's right. Sometimes I cried, not because I regretted what I did, but because I was sad about the family I wished I had. My mom sent messages that went back and forth between guilt and half apologies. We're family. We make mistakes. Don't you think you went too far? She wrote. I didn't answer. My dad sent one simple email. I'm sorry I didn't protect you the way I should have. You deserved better. I hope you build the life your grandparents knew you could. I saved that one. Here is what I learned from all of this. You do not owe your family your money, your peace, or your future just because you share a last name. Love without respect is not real love. It is control. Being the good child does not mean letting everyone use you so they can avoid the results of their bad choices. You cannot save people who refuse to save themselves, but you can choose to save yourself. My grandparents told me to build something that belongs to me. In the end, that's exactly what I chose to do.